was it just Tulsa and a couple other towns that you had a horseshoe or whatever it was in the racket, or was it every house show town?
No, it wasn't everyone, because at first, the first time that I had loaded it, we got in some kind of hayrube in Tulsa, I think the first time. And I just, you know what, this was like, we'd only been there 6 weeks. And I remember that what I did was I went and the ideas that I had, I got the dog chain, a dog choker chain, and duct taped that in without the cover on it around the edge of the racket. So it added weight, but it also added hardness to the edge of the racket, and slipped the cover on over it. And then also this lasted once. I actually got tin snips and cut, I guess that's what they're called, the things that cut to tin and aluminum or whatever, and cut the cookie sheets to shape the racket. So I had an actual metal plate on each side of the racket with the chain around the edge, and duct tape that. And you could bend a stop sign in half with a good swing on that thing, right? It was fucking stiff. That was for the rough towns for protection. But one night in Baton Rouge, this, like I said, this was real early on, and this is what made Bobby quit. Bobby used to say, here, I'll go in front, give me the racket. When we'd come back from the ring, you get behind me and Dennis is going to bring up the rear, right? So that way Bobby and the guy in front has the weapon in his hand. Well, that evolved quickly, because besides the fact that they realized, you know, they're taking more shots at me, so I need the fucking club, but also this guy came and fucking socked Bobby, and he turned around and the guy ran off into the crowd as we're coming back in a Centroplex. And Buddy Landell, who was riding with us at that time, used to watch our matches so that if we had any trouble, he'd come out and help. He sees the guy hit Bobby and runs and fucking, it was like he was running across a football field full of people, that a broken field tackled this fucking guy. And as he brought him up, he had his arms kind of like in a surfboard, and the guy was on his knees. And Dennis came right afterwards and football kicked the guy up under the jaw. And Bobby had the racket and hit him over the top of the head with it, with the cookie sheet and the chain duct taped around it under the cover, and bent the entire racket. It broke the frame, because that was a wooden one at that time. And that's when I switched to the metal ones later on. It cracked the frame, but it bent the cookie sheet. It looked like a fucking kitchen pot on top of the guy's head, right? It was in the shape of a head. And Bobby gave me the racket back. He said, I'm going to kill somebody. I don't want it anymore.
Dennis wouldn't have minded.
Yeah, did. That's what he agreed that I should probably have it. So that's what happened there.
Whenever you bought a tennis racket, how often, because you had to go through a lot of them, how often did whoever it was in the sporting goods store try to talk to you about tennis? Did that happen?
A couple of times, especially like at Charlotte at the mall. Oh, what? I'm just playing around. I just want to, because they'll try to upsell you, right? Well, that's the cheapest one. Yeah, I know.
10 of them.
Yeah,
Did you ever buy them in bulk?
No, well, because back then the house show rackets. Once I had 4 or 5, if they bent, like if I hit Animal 3 or 4 nights in a row, it would be bent badly. But I just get either Hawk or Animal, here, bend this back for me. Look at what you've done. And they just, and then I kept I still have the one that I used on TV that fit all the decorative covers that you've seen, all the, the TBS clips and the Santa Claus tennis racket cover and all that stuff. That was the same racket, because it was a wood frame. I'd gotten it early on. Had my first couple of fancy racket covers made for it, and I just, as a good luck charm, I would use that one for those fancy covers. But when I didn't have to really hit somebody or knock them out, usually, whatever. But no, and sometimes I'd send my wife to buy one or whatever. Because then, even though the mall in Charlotte was at the ritzy part of town, I couldn't just walk around freely without getting recognized. I was Cornette buying the cheapest racket in fucking store. So
a mob of girls attacked a guy at Dick's Sporting Goods today for selling tennis rackets to Jim Cornette. They were chanting rock and roll, rock and roll.
Rock and roll, rock and roll.